right, we are pretty much halfway. I feel like putting things back in might go easier since I know exactly kind of how things slide in. Just in general, just gaining the familiarity from today. But as you can see, everything is out. The upper intake and the plenum, I think is what it's called. I'll show you in a second in the video. But everything is disconnected. This is where the fuel rail connects right there. You can see the 3 injector plugs, those 3 guys kind of all snaking towards us. And then there's the other 3 on this side with their little red clips. 3 of them in there. One's up right there. Yeah, that is everything. So we've got fuel rail here. We've got fuel fuse, actually, because I obviously drained the fuel line by pulling the fuel pump fuse, trying to start the engine. It actually did start, and then it runs, at least to alleviate the pressure, and then it allows you to go in and take the fuel rail off without exploding in your face. Everything has been contained. The only tools on the table are tools, other than the walkie-talkie, are tools that it took to do the job. So every size, everything we're looking at here is exactly what we needed for the job. This is the plenum, or that lower part of the intake that sits right on the motor. Here is the upper intake. I took everything apart. So the entire throttle body has been taken apart, cleaned out. It's kind of gross. This little guy here was completely disgusting. This was black. Inside was black. So it's so much better now. I don't know if you can say new, but pretty much. These are our fuel injectors. This is my cylinder 3. This is the front of the vehicle here. I believe it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the cylinders. This was 3, and I did take pictures of this. It was gross in here. I mean, you can see, oops, you can see the dirt. Is that rust? Kind of just grime all over cylinder 3, and even look inside here. That's the O-ring that came off of this actually. But look at the dirt on the O-ring inside that cylinder. So it was clearly clogged. I'm going to clean this all up tomorrow. It's like probably 1 in the morning, Friday night. I'll leave you there. The fresh ones are here. I've got the upper seals that are these guys here. But if I turn this over, there's actually 6 more seals that are like a completely different shape I didn't know about. So I next day ship those. They'll be here tomorrow. So I'll get all those prepped. This again will be completely cleaned out, all the grime. I'll vacuum out inside here. It's actually not as awful as I would think, given all the adventures this thing's been on. I'm pretty good about cleaning it up, but I may vacuum out whatever, little stuff I can find in there before I piece it back together. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what time it is. What time is it? Let me see here. It's not even 1 o'clock. It's 12:15. So if it's 12:15, that probably only took me like a little over 3 hours, maybe 3 hours and 15 minutes. I'm not a professional mechanic, but they say it takes 6 hours. So I'm projecting 6.5 hours. That's not too bad. Getting savvier and savvier, but all of the parts, obviously it makes you a little nervous, kind of anxious about getting things put back together the right way. There's a couple bolts, like, which one was that? Maybe this one at the very back corner. It was so buried back there. Or no, I think it was actually on this guy. This is the upper intake. It was one of the ones towards the very back. This is sitting upside down right now. But at the very back, oh my gosh, that one screw took me 45 minutes, I feel like. Maybe 30, I don't know. But I was going so smooth until then. But yeah, I mean, you know what? All things considered, it has not gone too bad. This is all in pursuit of a cylinder 3 misfire. I have replaced cylinder 3 coil pack, which again is on this front side up in there. For reference, these are the coil packs on this side, 1, 2, 3. But cylinder 3, I replaced the coil pack. I did all spark plugs, all 6 spark plugs. You know, you don't do one, you do them all if you're gonna do them. And that didn't fix it. I ran a generous pour of like fuel injector cleaner through, thinking like, okay, it might be the injectors, maybe I'll get lucky with that. It didn't do anything. I cleaned the throttle body. That actually just helped general performance, but that didn't fix it. So yeah, I mean, here we are. And I could not for the life of me find anyone doing a video of a JL Wrangler. It was all JK in the previous Pentastar engine. So it was kind of frustrating not finding the exact instructions, but I watched enough different Pentastar engine videos to just make sure I had a good idea of what to do. But yeah, it's just time and patience, which I'm not great with that, but patience, don't rush, don't strip things, don't drop bolts, yada yada. But yeah, here we are. So tomorrow I'll pick this up after, I don't know, gym and whatever things to regain my sanity, and then I'll begin putting things back together. And I've got to wait anyway to put the other seals. I have these 6 here, but I've still got to get the other guys in before I can finish anything. So I'm just going to leave it. Hopefully they're late. Honestly, I don't feel like screwing with it right now, so I'll do it when I got to do it, or when they come in. Okay, see ya. All right, so full disassembly. I did the fast version of that in the video. So everything's apart. I can do more pictures and stuff. Maybe I'll just add them into the video later. But yeah, everything is apart. I have vacuumed out the engine bay as far as like where this came from. I've cleaned it up as much as I can without, you know, getting stuff to fall into the engine itself. Well, this is the plenum. This is where the injectors actually are. So these are 3 new injectors. These are already lubricated a little bit with oil. I'm just grabbing some 5W30, just whatever clean oil. These are new seals, so they'll be ready. This is what will actually be sitting on top of the motor. And this cutout section right here is the front section of the plenum itself. So I just did the passenger side. It's upside down, obviously. So now, basically, we can take a look here and see that this is now cylinder 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the firing order. So these are the new injectors here. My cylinder 3 that gave me the biggest misfire was absolutely disgusting. And I don't know why of all of these, that one specifically had more dirt and grime in it. But in around the fuel injector itself, and this is the cylinder 3 fuel injector, I'll upload pictures. It's just black. I mean, it's like, it doesn't look like there's chunks in there. It doesn't look like one certain thing came in, but it's just like the sum of all things after 75,000 miles has just eventually kind of clogged this, I'm assuming, and causing my cylinder 3 misfire. New spark plugs, new coil packs. I did a cylinder compression check at a dealership, an actual Jeep dealership, so they did that part for me. You know, the EGR valve also, let me talk about that for a second. The EGR valve, let me put this back, is this guy right here, and it is mounted or plugged into the side, actually you can kind of see here, of the intake itself. This was pretty black, but the interior of this and the valve of the EGR, which is exhaust recirculating valve, I think, something like that. Anyway, EGR, emissions thing, where some of the emissions come back in and come through, and it helps maintain the engine temperature itself, or the air entering the engine itself. So that ensures it is heated up to the proper temperature earlier, or this may close and then, you know, allow cooler air in if the engine needs that. But anyway, this was caked also. So if you're this far in, get a ton of throttle body and air cleaner and detail everything. I've taken apart the entire mass airflow sensor as well. I mean, it's put back on now for the reinstall, but this thing admittedly was kind of gross too. I had not done that with any of my oil changes. I do my oil changes at 5,000 mile intervals, and I'm on point with everything. I do run a UPR catch can, so, you know, I would have thought things would be a little cleaner in here than they were, but this has been through Colorado, tons of trails, in Arizona and Utah, and dust and dust and more dust. I live on the East Coast in Vermont, and it's muddy, dusty. I've been through Pennsylvania, New Jersey, you name it. Anything probably worth taking your Jeep to within reason, minus California. This has been there, and, you know, 75,000 miles has just kind of added up on this. So I still recommend a UPR or a catch can, pick your brand. So that's where we are. So I'm now going to be doing cylinder 1, 3, and 5 new injectors. All you do is, well, this one for some reason has less packaging on it, I think. Get out your new injector. Package twice. Guess it makes it twice as nice or something, I don't know, whatever. So when you take the new injector out, obviously with the JL injectors, you have got 8 little pinholes. You can count them if you want to really care about it. But the JK had, I think, 4 or 6 pinholes. I want to say 4. So these are JL specific, so make sure you have the right part number. The part number for the JL 3.6 liter Pentastar, this is a 2018, I don't know that it's changed, is 05281427AA-001. So maybe screenshot that or pause me or something, I don't know. Anyway, you take out the new injector and you'll want to remove this little cap on the end where the fuel is coming in, of course. So it just kind of, you know, squeaks off there. I re-clean the hand that's going to be touching anything to do with the injector. This one's clean-ish, cleaner. This is the fresh oil, it's just in an oil cap of 5W30. It's just something I had extra oil of. It is clean, it is new. Just gonna dab your hand, and you're going to, don't soak this obviously, but you do want to make sure the whole O-ring is lubed up. I do the top also. This top is where the fuel rail will snap onto, but right before I do that, I'm going to wipe things off again and then re-lube it one last time. It'll just make snapping that fuel rail on just a little easier, more straightforward. One note is actually when I had all of this off, I detailed the hell out of where the gaskets go. These were the bottom gaskets of the Plenum. These were actually not too bad looking, but the upper, whatever, gaskets. So I cleaned it all out. It had tons of grime in there, tons of grit. So it's kind of annoying because, you know, I took it to the dealership and you think that they're gonna do all these little things and clean stuff out. The EGR was disgusting, and they just did this like 300 miles ago. Mass airflow was disgusting. They had all this stuff off, and they could have seen that, and they could have maybe, you know, passed on the message, hey, maybe you want to maintenance that, but they do not do that. So that's why, honestly, it's kind of nice to, you know, learn this stuff yourself, do it yourself, learn how to do it, and know every little I is dotted and T is crossed. But I'll shut up. So you just, and I cleaned out all of the holes, obviously, that this goes into. It slides in pretty easy. So there's like barely any pressure as you do this. And you just go on to the next one, and on to the next one. And then once all of these fuel injectors are in, I'm just gonna lube up the blue O-rings a little bit. That's the ones that will kind of secure inside the fuel rail here. One last time, and then put that on. So yeah, you just go down the line doing the same thing, and then when you're done, this will again slide right over the top. You just want to really position everything completely straight, and then just kind of start working it down. It kind of not snaps on, but you'll know when it's there, and then that keeps all of your injectors from, you know, flopping around, because it's not super tight in there. As you can see, you can kind of wiggle them a little bit with the O-ring there. So anyway, I'm gonna do this now, and then I'll cut in a little bit later as we start the reassembly. So, all right, so now we've got our fuel rail itself. I always thought these were metal, but they're plastic apparently. And you just wanna start positioning all these guys on top of the injectors. No pressure until they're all set. And then basically just gonna start putting some force down and snapping them down, or snapping the fuel rail down onto the fuel injectors. Now, when you're in there, you're gonna notice like each fuel injector, like the wire going to the fuel injector itself, some of them are like kind of coming from one angle, the other, the next angle. Once this is on, you should still be able to kind of rotate this a little bit. And that's part of like why the oil is in there too. So that way you can position the fuel injector properly for the harness to not, you know, be tugging or pulling from any sides. You want the wiring to be pretty relaxed. You know, just put that on, or so you can put it on easier, right? So I'll start now, kind of just working my way around. One. Just make sure they're all set up straight here. Yeah. 2, 3. Also on the fuel rail, you're gonna notice like there's little plastic grooves, so to speak, that will kind of orient the fuel injector within reason, kind of where it needs to be for the harness, just to point that out. So there's no real wrong way to snap these in when you're doing it, necessarily. Maybe line them all up, I guess, before you start pushing, like I did not do. And then just, again, give it a little bit of force, barely anything. Really snaps in, pretty straightforward. Yeah. Now, the fuel rail itself is on, and now we got to get our fuel rail bolts, which are, I think there's only 4 of these. This one and this one here. So they're kind of these like button head T30 looking guys. And they're just going to go, obviously, right where everything lines up. Do not go nuts over torquing these. They're plastic. I'm sure you guys are, if you're this far into an engine, you know not to like over torque something into plastic, but you know, I'll say it anyway. Get all these started, and I'll cut the video here just because I actually left the battery for my ratchet over there. So see you in a minute. Also, FYI, what the rig is, I've got everything done to this guy. We are on 38 by 1250 Nitto Ridge grapplers. This is a 2018, but I thought it'd be cool to throw on the Extreme Recon fender flares, and it also keeps a little bit more crap off my vehicle. I'm on 3 inches of lift in the front. It's basically a 2.5 inch rock crawler lift in the front with a 1/2 inch Terraflex spacer. I've got 3.5 inch springs in the rear. I did it on purpose. It sits really level, honestly, because I do have the Long Range America fuel tank on this thing, and it holds, I think it weighs 80 pounds before it holds the 17.5 gallons of gas. So I've got some pretty serious range in this thing. It's pretty built out. PSC steering, 1 ton, all Synergy steering, ball joints. I actually just redid that too. Ball joints, tie rod ends, everything's fresh. Metal cloak, rock sliders. I forget the series on that. Oh my gosh. If you guys are interested in a full detailed walk around of this build, what's gone wrong, you know, you want to see some more content on this, let me know. Also, for the wifey, we've got on 35s, the Wrangler 4xe, if you see the little blue right here, the Wrangler 4xe Rubicon also, and I've got a RAM TRX and a yellow Bronco Raptor. Maybe I'll throw a couple pictures in at the end. So if you guys want to see videos with that stuff, sure, we'll do it. So this is where we are. This is what it looks like when everything has been pulled out to do the injectors. I do have the Hawk Designs. I think they went out of business. Hawk Designs snorkel. So that's what this box is here. That tube, the elbow comes out here, runs up to the kind of like Humvee style, mushroom style pre-cleaner right here. And then I've got an 18-inch snorkel extension. Anyway, sorry to go off the rails there with that, but just wanted to point out what that box was because people will ask. So here's where we are. The Plenum is ready to go back in. All new seals, all new, you know, whatever, fuel injectors and everything. Obviously, that's the point. So this is what it looks like before we start working it in. And we've got, let me turn around, I'm pretty close to the table. This is the back of the fuel rail and the Plenum itself. Everything is on, ready to go. Fresh oil, lubing up these gaskets, obviously. The injectors are ready to roll. So I am going to start to finagle that thing in. I don't think there's any pretty way to do it. You just be very careful. Don't tug on a gasket. You get it really squared up before you start putting your screws in. And the lower, these Plenum screws, I believe, are these guys. It's a little 8 mil, or a Torx, I guess. I don't know what Torx that is, 15 or something, 20 maybe. Anyway, 8 mil is what I'm doing. And yeah, so here goes. All right. And with pretty much no drama, the screws all went in great. I definitely would hand start each of them just to make sure you don't cross thread anything. That is not a situation you want to get into at this point or at any point ever, honestly, working on anything. But yeah, so now that the Plenum is back in, make your new bottom, and this bottom as far as what's complete and what's exposed, put your rags back in. There's no sense in dropping anything into one of those holes and try to fish it out. All the valves do look up, so even if it did, maybe you could use a magnet and pluck it out, but like, let's not go there kind of thing, right? So now, next is going to be right here. This is, let's see if I can get my stuff to show up right there. So right here, this is the fuel rail. This is the clip right here that's going to go on to the fuel rail. Sorry, that's not like focusing right. but this fuel rail, it's already bent that way. And then the next part is where you see all of these little red clips, boom, 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 right? That's cylinder 1, 2, 3. Go ahead and just plug these back in and put your little red locks back on those. So they're pretty straightforward. When you're putting the plenum back in, just make sure you kind of take the time to push them out of the way so you're not trying to push it down on top of them. But honestly, it really does go back in, I would say, easier than it comes out. There's 2 back bolts back there that, as far as getting them out, it was just a nightmare. Going in, I was just already anticipating 30 minutes of screwing with it. And honestly, they went right in. So yeah, that was really a pleasant surprise. So there are 8 of those 8mm that will hold that down. So yeah, there's that. All right, so once you are, you've tightened everything down on the plenum, it's gonna be time to go ahead and pull out all of our rags there, or shop rags, whatever. Then we've got our intake, right? Our intake manifold up here. Okay, so mass airflow. This little guy here, right behind the mass airflow sensor, sorry, I'm like a rookie at this, is where this guy goes, right? It's kind of pre-plumbed. It's already shaped to kind of target that area. Then the EGR will go here once it's sitting in, of course. So it kind of comes in. Here's your EGR, right? It goes in, kind of shoots down there. There's going to be 3, 1, 2, 3. I think it's just 3. Yeah, 3 nuts you'll have to put on to these bolts. They're already there. Those 2 guys there are kind of a pain in the butt. Basically, I'm gonna put the EGR back. Basically, this little rail in here, this black metal rail right here. It's just a brace basically for your intake manifold, right? So you got to line these up. You will probably need a pry bar to pry this back. See how it kind of flexes while you're actually dropping this into place. And then there's going to be 1 sensor here we got to plug in, which the harness is kind of fixed here. You've got 1 blow-by or vacuum line here that is kind of pre-plumbed, ready for it right there. And then notice there's also a sensor. I forget which one that is, embarrassingly, and that is right here. So just be mindful as you're slowly placing this in, not to drop debris. I have cleaned this entire thing out, so hopefully, that helps something, but it's not going to drop dirt in there, right? So I've cleaned around, I've vacuumed actually under there and everything before I even put the plenum down. Everything is clean for sure. So yeah, this is the next step. So again, first thing is, as it's coming in, the vacuum line here, then that sensor, as well as this sensor located there. So before you get it all settled down, just get that, plugged in, and then you'll be good. And then you can start working your way forward, and you're, plugging in this guy. And once that's there, and you're inside that brace with these 2 bolts, you'll be able to tighten those, actually leave them loose, obviously, so it can jiggle around, but you'll be that much closer to putting the EGR on. And that does look dirty in there, but I don't know if it matters, honestly. Maybe it does. I don't know how to clean it out. So yeah, that is next. All right, now the upper intake manifold is on. The EGR is on. I didn't video that. I mean, that's, it's 3 10 mil, 1 here, and there's 2 kind of under it. Use a small socket, obviously like a 1/4-inch socket. You can get in there pretty good. This also flexes. Oh, there we go. Until you plug that little guy in, that Christmas tree. And then there's 2 bolts here, 10 mil also, on the back of the AGR with a gasket, like a metal gasket inside. So there's that. Everything is now torqued down. So we've just now got, well, let's do one. Start feeling accomplished here. lock that in. Harnesses to plug in, right? I've got right here my throttle body sensor here. This is for my PSC, the overflow tank. So I'm about to get these wires out of the way. I don't really need to, I can show you where I put that, but basically, obviously, you zip tie them out of the way, make sure the serpentine belt isn't going to grab them anywhere. And then once that is done, I'm running out of screws here, people. I need to put on that little guy, and that's what the engine cover attaches to. And then obviously the intake elbow right there, which runs to the Hawk Designs, or right here, sorry, this way. Snorkel, and then put the engine cover back on. Well, I'm sorry, nope, take it back. Then put my catch can back on. So that catch can, it actually mounts to this piece right here. This goes through one side, so all that blow-by that would usually go into the engine is kind of rerouted. The catch can sits here, and then it reroutes and connects here. So the idea is to keep as much of that oil out of the intake as possible. And if you really wheel your Jeep and you get in some really steep scenarios, the blow-by just picks up the oil and starts dumping it in, and you'll get that white smoke. I'm sure you guys have seen that online by now with these 3.6s, but yeah, we're getting really close, everybody. So, all right, home stretch. We've got the little brace for the engine cover back on. It's just those 3 little 10 mils. I might have to actually tighten those real quick. I forgot if I did. I think I did, but I'll check. I'll double check. Then I've got my catch can back on. Again, it screws on with a little Allen key here. The passenger side comes up here. The driver side routes in a cool little elbow, and it's designed to perfectly flow underneath the throttle body. It has a perfect arc, and then this comes up, and this is literally how it is on their website. And I knew that when I put it back on this time too, because it has like a, it's not closed at all. It's fully open, but kind of a crease where it always bends around the EGR there. 75,000 miles, no issues with that. So, or I probably put this on at like 8 or so thousand miles, but yeah, so 60 whatever thousand miles. So now I just got to get this intake elbow back on. I've got to plug in this this sensor here, and then this sensor goes into the little oxygen sensor that plugs into that elbow that's also pulling and reading the air temperature. So we are so close. And then, you know what, let me just walk around here. We put our fuel pump fuse back in. That is right back here, right there, above the other black guy right there, the other, whatever, you see the spot right in the middle of the video. Right, I throw my cap back on here, and I throw my elbow back on for the Hawk Designs snorkel. Again, I've had that also probably, I don't know, 65 or more thousand miles. It's been great. My air filter is very clean, actually. Every time I change it, it's got like a 3-inch like cone style filter in that. Yeah, we are home stretch. All right, everything is 100% back together. Just did my shakedown run. Drove, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 miles. No misfire yet, no engine codes, no nothing. So we are going to pray that that was it. If that was not the misfire, I don't know, maybe there'll be a follow-up to this. I don't know if it's low voltage, or it could be EGR valve internally is bad, map sensor, I'm not really sure what else it could be. But it was specific to cylinder 3 every time. So I want to say we got it. New spark plugs, coil packs, now fuel injectors. Why I didn't do the fuel injectors when they did plugs and stuff, I don't know. I just didn't think to do it all. But here we are. So hopefully that did it. Also, there is the TRX. If you guys want some TRX videos, let me know what kind. If you want some Bronco Raptor videos, let me know in what kind. I've done some stuff to that, and it's tuned. 4xe Wrangler videos. We got ATVs, Yamaha WR450F. Let me know if any of this interests you.